But hi, hello everyone. Happy October. Happy Halloween. I hope you have all been having a good week. I think I saw not totally from everyone, but I hope you're at least having a good evening now, or that things are turning around. Um, I think I saw, yeah, meow, not the best, but glad it's over. I think that's a good perspective to have. It's over now. All right. So hi everyone. I'm gonna get started on this on the follower and subscriber shelf for the week. Uh oh great. Lots of people who can't hear the reverb at all. So that's good news at least. Let's see here. Okay, let's actually dive into some things. And welcome everyone. I'm glad you're here. I didn't this was like the first week that I didn't really promote anywhere that this was happening except that it's in my Twitch schedule. So fun to see that people still arrived. It's good to see the usual suspects here this week. Good to see you all and catch up. Has anyone been doing any fun like autumn or Halloween stuff yet this year? I'm trying to decide how much floss chicken I want to play. I'm deciding which. I have a bunch of little bits of floss that probably could work, but would also be annoying to stitch with, so I'm trying to decide here. Oh no. I forgot my scissors and my needle minder. Alright, we're just gonna use some normal scissors. And maybe I'll get up at some point and go get the correct ones in the needle minder. Just gonna double check we got the right color of floss for the spools. Gonna add a new spool. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th stream. 6th spool. And the spool colors are 8 to 9. This song's a little loud. Let me turn that down. Door dyed your hair yesterday. That's exciting. What color did you dye your hair? Tom went to Apple Fest, which had a lot of apples and pumpkins and general fall vibes despite it being 80 degrees out. I also went to something called Apple Fest, and it was also during a bit of a heat wave, and it was like 80 degrees out. This was a few weeks ago, but it did kind of put a slight damper on the fall vibes because it was 80 degrees. Why don't I get them now so I'm not starting without them? Because I feel like I just sat down. I don't want to have to like put up a BRB screen or something because I do have scissors right here. So I have scissors and I have a little table this week where I can set stuff on so I can put needles there. Needle minder would be good, but I'm too tired and perhaps lazy to get up again. Finally got cold for deoxyribo. And it's rain. Yeah, it's raining here too. It's been raining a lot for over a day. Lauren finally got to give the pumpkin hats she was making on stream to sister-in-law and baby niece. Very, very cute. Door has shared a hex code for their hair. I love that. I'm gonna look up this hex code right now. I can't quite copy and paste. Okay, I'll just type it into. Okay, so the hex code is 65FE08. And it is bright green. That's like brat green. Wow, cool. Very good for Halloween, too. I had hair that color once for like a weekend when I was Cosmo from Fairly Odd Parents for Halloween. I guess actually it was a darker green than that, but that's the only time I've had bright green hair. Well, that's very exciting green. Gabeopolis' partner and them sold little crafts, mostly earrings, at a local community pride event over the weekend. That's super fun. Do you make the earrings or does your partner make the earrings? Either way, that's very cool. And I love especially like Pride and queer craft fairs. I like all craft fairs, but those ones are superior in my opinion. Is my needle minder the waffle that's been on my canvas? Yes, that is my needle minder. I think I've mentioned before, or maybe I dreamt it that I mentioned it. When I learned what needle minders are, which are just sort of two, like a piece of metal and a piece of magnet that you put on your cloth so that you can just like quickly boop, put your needle there and you don't lose it, you don't drop it on the couch and then sit on it or something like that. But it's really just like a piece of metal and a magnet, and they come in all kinds of fun designs and shapes and colors, whatever. There's a lot of fun ones on Etsy, or I bet you could even find fun ones at craft fairs. But they look a lot like enamel pins. It like feels like very enamel pin vibes of even like getting your favorite characters and stuff. And so I was like, wait, I have a ton of enamel pins. Can I just turn an enamel pin into a needle minder by like taking off the little pin part with some wire cutters? And while I do have so many enamel pins, I was like, if I accidentally break one while I try making this, I don't want to be sad that I broke an enamel pin that I really care about. So I used the waffle one, which is my own merch, and therefore I know where to get another one, and I have like a lot of them in my house. So I used that as like a tester to see if I could turn enamel pins into needle minders, and it actually worked out fine. So I could have done and could still do a different enamel pin that maybe I really like, but I never wear, and I could turn that into a needle minder. I just haven't gotten around to it yet. But I have, especially since I've been doing like even just on live stream multiple projects at a time, and I have now started like for the live stream projects, I'm like keeping the needle on them while I'm live so that I don't have to switch as many things. That would give me a reason to have multiple needle minders. So I should make another one from a pin that I like and don't wear that often. Or I could buy one, but you know, if you can make it, why not make it? Except for the fact that it often takes so much longer. Although another downside of making things is that sometimes you don't fully know what you're doing and they don't totally work. Like when you decide to add fun elements to a Twitch overlay that you made by yourself, and it glitches every 2 minutes. That happens. I'm actually just realizing one possible reason why that's happening. So I'll have to look at that next time. There are so many Twitch-related things that those of you who've been here every week have been hearing me say that I'm going to do. And I did absolutely none of them this week because it was a busy week full of lots of fall fun and friends and family, but not time to work on Twitch stuff. But we're here and we're having fun. Okay, I'm gonna catch up. Okay, Needleminder, yes. Hello green. Yeah, Dor, that's a very hello green color of hair. Well done. To both you and Limical for that joke. UV reactive. Didn't dye it for Halloween, just like that color. I kind of had a feeling you didn't dye it specifically for Halloween, but I had to mention that it is, of course, a great Halloween color, so it's a good launch time for your hair color. Sam's saw an autumnal-colored leaf suspended from a single string of a spider web. That is very Halloweenish indeed. Yeah, I saw, just a spider coming down from a web, but like the single string outside my door, and that felt Halloweeny enough, but to have an autumnal-colored leaf hanging down, that's next level. Gabe makes... Oh, no, you make earrings out of Shrinky Deeks. For a second, Gabe, I thought you were saying that you were making needle minders out of Shrinky Dinks, which I think could also work, and I bet people have done. And you had a place for people to make their own earrings. That is super, super cool. And just jumping down, and then I'll go back up, but... Gabe, yes, the number of spools... Well, alright, so... There's some complicated symbols happening with this follower and subscriber shelf. So each spool is essentially a stream. The color of the thread on the spool corresponds to the number of followers that the channel gained in between streams. So last week we started the stream at 86, and today we started this stream at 94. So the color, according to a color code that is in the about in an about panel on my Twitch channel that you can see, the color for 8 new followers is going to be the same as last time, I think. 720 pumpkin spice. So this is our color for the spool today to represent the 8 folks who followed since the start of the stream last week. So thank you to all of you. But then, in terms of subscribers, we're doing another little thing where we're building a shelf for the spools to sit on, and each subscriber gets a stitch when they subscribe. So that is how this is both the subscriber and the follower shelf that we're doing here. Okay. We got Deoxyribo has a Grogu holding a turquoise cookie needle minder. That's very cool. Been trying to convince Limical to cross stitch, and I feel like a Grogu needle minder or other Star Wars needle minder could be one strong way to continue to get Limical excited about the idea of picking up cross stitching as a hobby. Hobby as a hobby. Tom has been using a cat magnet he already had as a needle minder. Lay it on the table instead of having it on the canvas. Yeah, I think that totally works too. Like, you don't have to have the needle minder on the canvas, as I am doing tonight. Door has a bracelet with a magnet. Now that's clever to use it to put a magnet on a bracelet and use that as a needle minder. Yes, Limical is cross stitching. Okay, tell me what you're doing or what you've done, like pattern wise. Using a kit? Did you get a pattern somewhere? Very curious to hear about it. And meanwhile, what is everyone else working on tonight? What projects did folks bring to poke away at this evening? Let's see if we can. I don't know that we can. We'll try to get this last one in a little bit more focus. Peer pressure does work. Sometimes we can use peer pressure for good. That is one of 3 like motivating factors that is listed in, according to the Freakonomics guys. They say if you're like trying to get people to do something, the 3 motivating factors are social pressure, morality, and economic pressure. So like if you, I don't know, if you were trying to implement some kind of new like policy that you wanted people to be following, if it was something where they felt like it was just the right thing to do in terms of their values, that would matter a little bit. If it was something where like other people were going to judge them for not doing it, that would also be a good incentive. And then also if it was going to affect their wallets somehow, it was going to affect them economically, that would also be a significant pressure. But if you got all 3 of those in one, then it's like guaranteed people are going to do it. Doors cross-stitching little skeleton cat again. That's very fun. I think I've seen some patterns of skeleton cats, but skeleton cat, perfect for Halloween. Love it. Okay, Limical got incredibly tiny kits from Michaels to see how I felt about it before I went too wild. That is exactly the way to go. I tried a couple of very, very simple patterns first to see how it went. And it went well. I'll give you the spoiler. It went exceptionally well. And actually the pattern that we're going to work on today that is in the lower left-hand corner, I say we, but it's me because you're all working on your own other things, is one of the first patterns that I ever did after some of those like trial simple ones. And I've just never fully finished it. So we'll talk more about that a little bit later. But yeah, I think starting small before you like invest money in the supplies and like time and energy or your own like self-confidence and inspiration in a larger project, I think starting small is the way to go. Okay, Lauren doesn't use sewing needles often for knitting, but when I need them to sew in my ends, I usually stick it to the back of my phone, which has a MagSafe case. That is clever. I love all of these different magnet uses, but MagSafe case on a phone might be the most accessible solution yet in the chat. Okay, Tom is trying to finish up lettering on his Nope cat cross stitch. Tired cat with the word nope in big letters. I love it. We got to get to the lettering on the Sleepy Hollow pattern at some point. There's a good amount of letters on that pattern, and we are not there yet. Lauren is knitting a very cool cabled sweater vest. Love that. Deoxyribo also did the same strategy as Limical. Got a little simple pattern from Michaels. Oh yeah, your coffee cup was so good. The steam coming off the coffee cup and the back stitching on that, I remember. This is one some people have sent me their projects on Instagram, which you're all welcome to do. I do want to set up a Discord. I know I've been saying it for weeks. I do really want to do that, to set up a Discord so that we can all like share pictures, and if you want them to be on the stream, I will share them on the stream. You can also just share them with me if you want to and tell me please don't share it on the stream. But before I move on, here's our follower spool for today. We've had the same color the last 3 weeks, but that's all right. That's how these like temperature progress pattern style things work. I'm just saying lots of nouns. But anyway, that's number 7, represents 8 followers. Thank you to those 8 followers for getting us this pumpkin spice orange for the evening. I'm gonna just finish this off. Yeah, I will say that Discord will not, for the foreseeable future, be in any way like more of a community space than just sharing projects to be shared on stream, because I just don't really have the capacity to properly like moderate and organize that right now. So we're sort of just using it as a tool to share projects at the moment, not as a community space. Sorry to disappoint, but maybe one day. Maybe we would do that at some point. Okay, so we're gonna go to the other main pattern for the night for now. Might add to the subscriber shelf later if we get any new subscribers tonight, but that's also okay if not. Okay. So this is the pattern that you can see in the lower right hand corner. I think I said left earlier. It's very much right. Spooky Scary Skeleton time, exactly. So this is a pattern by Lindsay Swearingen. It is actually from a book called Creepy Cross Stitch. I got it at my library. I think it's common at a lot of libraries. I've also seen it at a lot of bookstores. So if you are into Halloween-y things and you want to be cross-stitching, I highly recommend the book Creepy Cross Stitch. And she also has an Etsy shop, I believe. I don't know if she has a main website, but you can look up Lindsay Swearingen Creepy Cross Stitch on Etsy. Her shop, I think, has a different name, but you'll find it if you search her name and Creepy Cross Stitch. Some of the patterns from the book are on her Etsy shop. Some of them aren't. But anyway, she has a lot of super fun patterns. I would totally stitch all of them. I love them all. This was my favorite, and I started this one, like I said, like right when I started cross-stitching a couple years ago, and I messed up so many things about it. The main thing that I messed up is I didn't yet understand how much space you need to leave on the edge, and so like the pattern is so close to the edge here, and it has been really, really tough to get this in any kind of hoop where I can be stitching these and not have the hoop come over. So this is a Nurge hoop, and it's giving me a little bit more space on this side, but I think it's still not completely gonna work out. So we might actually just have to take it off the hoop and stitch in hand for part of it, which is how I did the little candies on this side, is I just like didn't use a hoop. I just held the cloth in my hand, which is the preferred method for a lot of people. It is not for me. I did not love doing that, and that is part of why I haven't finished this pattern yet, because I just like I didn't enjoy doing that. So we're gonna see how this goes. And I've messed up like the colors in lots of places on this. The skeletons are not symmetrical. I messed up part of the banner that says trick or treat. It's just been one of those patterns that has been a very like learning pattern for me. Like I started it so early on, there was a lot of stuff that I just didn't know, and I learned how to do as I was doing this pattern. So I think in a way it's actually gonna be kind of like bittersweet to finish it, because it has been something that I've come back to in small amounts for a couple of years. So, yeah. Holding to stitch is so rough on my hands. Deoxyribo, you did that for a bookmark. Yeah, it's just it doesn't quite work for me for some reason. Oh yeah, Tom having some hoop issues as well. Yeah, really, I have found I need like 3 inches on either side of the pattern, which then adds like 6 inches in total on either. So you're doing like a 5x7 pattern, and all of a sudden it's like a 11x13 pattern instead, in terms of how much cloth you need, and that feels like so much cloth. It feels a little wasteful, but at the same time, like, that's the only way you can really stitch the whole pattern. So it's things you learn as you go. All right, I'm trying to figure out what colors we need first. I think we'll start with the hearts is going to be easiest. And I think we do have an ad break coming up in about 30 seconds. I might use that time to go get my needle minder and stitches, actually. Stitches. Scissors. I have stitches. I have so many stitches. And in fact, we should add the 19 stitches to the stitch total. Those are from the warm-up, the follower spool. Do I frame or otherwise display my cross stitch once I finish it? I will answer after the ad begins. After the ad break, we'll answer that one. And during the ad, I'm gonna figure out what colors I'm using, and then maybe go get my needle minder. So this is the heart. I just feel like it's a different color than what that's showing, but okay. 3853. Gonna do this one. Okay, the ad has finally started. I feel like the starting soon without a countdown shows for so long that I start assuming the ad has just happened, but apparently it had not yet. Now it has. Great. Still gonna... Oh, okay. I'm definitely gonna go get my actual scissors, because these, like, big desk scissors are not working on the floss. Okay, so sorry to those of you who are here during the ad break. I am going to be right back. And I'm just gonna leave this screen up. That's fine, but I will be back in just a minute. Okay, hello. I am back. Everyone else is about to be back. It's all happening. Yay, hello. Welcome back, everyone. We now have scissors and a needle minder, which you can see right there. Success. Okay, now I should think about this strategically, because I am starting a new thing of floss, but I'm never going to be using that much at once. So maybe I don't want to cut it as long as I usually would. Just gonna kind of see what happens here. Anyways, so Gabe was asking if I frame or otherwise display my cross stitch once I finish it. I used to more. I was really like framing most of my finished projects, and I started like thrifting a lot of frames because I was like, ooh, I'm going through frames and sometimes they're pricey. And now I have a lot of frames. Never seems to quite be the size that I need. But yeah, I have a lot of frames now. I feel like I haven't had that many finished projects that weren't gifts in a while. I think live streaming is going to change that a little because I can't work on gifts on live stream just in case they're like, someone's watching that I'm giving the gift to. I have a couple that I want to turn into pillows, but that's going to require extra talents. Like, that's not something I've done before, so I'd have to see how that goes. But yeah, and I would. So in my last place I lived, I had a few gallery walls and cross stitch projects. I think looked really great on gallery walls. But I just have not done a great job of putting up a lot of wall art or decoration in this house yet, since I moved in a year ago. And like I said, haven't had too many finished projects, so I haven't displayed that many. I also am like in a phase of trying to do more creative things. So like there's the pillow ideas. I've made ornaments before. I don't think I ultimately made ornaments for family last year. Oh, but I made stockings. I like bought some stockings, and then I cross-stitched their names onto them. And I was working on a votive sort of situation where it would be like I cross-stitched like a flat thing, but then you wrap it around like a thick candle or jars that you just put electric tea lights into. I was working on that. I didn't finish it. So maybe I'll finish that for some gifts this year. And then cross-stitching on things like bags and clothing is a new thing that I'm very much into that. So I've been trying to think about things around that that I want to do. Yeah. So just like I have displayed things in the past. I would like to display some of the stuff that I used to have displayed and maybe some future ones. Like this one I think would be really fun to like turn into some kind of wall hanging. Yeah, I think part of it is I need to get better at sewing again, because I think a lot of the ways that I want to like finish the projects and display them involve sewing. Okay, so Tom's been experimenting with putting adhesive felt on the back of a cross stitch and then sticking a magnet on the back. Adhesive felt. Huh. Interesting. I don't think I'm fully comprehending that one in this moment, I have to admit. Okay, so you're essentially turning it into a magnet. Yeah, okay. Sorry, live stream brain, where there's so much going on that, like, when something trips me up a little bit more, I'm like, wait, what? Huh? Okay, and I need to, let me start. So I need to count. Oh, boy. Okay, so we're going to start right here. No worries about being tired, Tom. I am also tired. I was traveling this weekend and then had family here and literally got back from the train station like right about when I needed to start setting up for the live stream, which also happened to be right when Dan and Phil posted their big video. I don't know who all here tonight are big Dan and Phil fans. I know we've talked about them many times in the past, but wow. Big day in the Dan and Phil fandom. And good reminder from Dor in the chat to sit up straight. Your partner said you looked like a fried shrimp. That's very funny. We're already into a place where I can't stitch because of the hoop here. Tom, what have you missed? If you're at you need to go to Dan and Phil's Dan and Phil Games YouTube channel or one of their Twitter accounts. It is a big day. But I don't want to spoil for you or anyone else who hasn't looked it up. Dora's gonna look it up too. Wow, okay. I literally prioritized watching the video because I was like, oh man, there's gonna be people who have watched it, so I gotta make sure I watch it before the live stream. But you haven't heard. Okay. Tom just saw the title of the video. I mean, I guess I could tell people what the title is. Although I think they are A/B testing, because I had like a notification that said one thing, and then I went to the video and it said another thing. This is what I get for being like, I'll clean my closet today instead of trolling YouTube. What a fool I was. Yeah, today is not a day to not watch YouTube if you have ever been a Dan and Phil fan. I think that's actually how Phil promoted it. He didn't even... He was very much acknowledging, like, hey, if you haven't watched us in 10 years, that's fine. But if you've ever watched us, you might want to be online in an hour to watch this video. And he was right. Okay, I might just be stitching in hand, which means I'm going to try to think about where best for this to be seen. You know what I might do? So I have this little tray here today that I don't usually have. Okay, I'm going to turn off this camera for just a minute and try to adjust some things. Because I think I might move this to be like right here. So what a bummer. The hoop does not work. We're gonna go back to stitching in hand to finish up this pattern. But that's okay. This is what we do. We improvise, we troubleshoot. We move the mixer out of the shot, perhaps. Perhaps not. Move the light. Okay. Light can go there. And then the camera will go somehow. Dor, didn't they already say they were in a relationship? Not really, and there continued to be a lot of debate. Yeah, I would watch the video if you're interested. They kind of go through the entire history of what people said about them, why they didn't say it, why they're talking about things openly now. But yeah, they both like came out, but they had not fully said that they were together. But there's also more in the video. They're announcing a couple of other things, so it's all very exciting and just wild. Always wild when things that were online conspiracies turn out to be true. Okay, and we're gonna try this. I think if I stay right here with the camera, this might work. I'm not giving myself a lot of clearance here, but I think I can make this kind of work. All right, we'll bring the camera back. So here we are. It feels like my own personal Christmas. I mean, similar to what Dor said, it seems it like, I think the assumption was almost meant to be that they are together, and for privacy reasons we'll never talk about it, and like that is good and fine, but it is exciting, I think, just to like see them get to this phase of life where they are comfortable talking about this, and to introduce kind of a new phase of their content as well. which one spoiler of that is that, well, maybe I don't want to spoil it. Maybe I shouldn't spoil it. I'll let people I'll let people find out. Oh, this light is not working anymore. Oh, there's my camera settings. Everything's falling apart. This is what happens when you try to change the set midstream. Oh boy. Okay, maybe. Can you stay there? Can you stay in there? Very precariously. All right. This is gone. All right, let's actually stitch this. And also maybe. Oh, that's very dark. That looks all right. All right. Where's my needle? What am I doing? We got exactly one stitch done here. Look at those happy stock models celebrating a fake birthday. Oh, okay, I'm already in the wrong spot. This is gonna be a little bit tricky, but I want to try it. I would love to finish this. I don't know. I might need to be a little bit closer. If all else fails, we'll switch back to the other pattern. Because I'm not sure how well I can do this in the camera shot. Okay. Well, sort of working. We're going to try to do it and try... Because there's not too much to do. It's... Yeah, how many... I guess somehow there's still 300 stitches left. Although it is possible that that's an import error at some point, and I have less than that many stitches left, because I feel like I have fewer than that number left. Limical, I am curious what kits you got. What are the designs on the kits that you picked up at, I think it was Michael's? $525,600 stitches. Oh, I'm out of the shot. Sorry about that. That would be a lot of stitches. I've never done a pattern that big. I think the biggest ones I've done have been more in the like 10 to 13,000 category, I think. Started with slice of pizza and a donut. Also an excellent breakfast, in addition to a good cross-stitch pattern. But that's fun. That is very fun. I think that's the way to go. I think, yeah, when you're starting out, just pick a pattern that seems fun and would be exciting to you, but is not too hard. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think my very first one was just this like tiny spider. And then after that, I did like a little planet that was smiling. Donut doesn't have sprinkles yet. Pizza doesn't have toppings, but I sent you a photo. I like that. That really goes together somehow. Like here, I made this donut, but it doesn't have sprinkles, and I made this pizza, but it doesn't have a topping. This looks a little off-ish. No, I think it's okay. Pizza donut. Ah, yes, you have to learn what backstitching is. Well, we discussed that a little bit last time. So I think there's actually a clip on my channel that briefly explains it. You would do much better looking up like YouTube tutorials, but if you want a like a 1 minute explainer, you can go look back on clips from last week's stream, because we did indeed do a quick demo of backstitching. Yeah, naturally, the one thing you really needed to learn, you missed it. Backstitching is something that, like, it's not complicated, but it can be annoying, and so a lot of us complain about it a lot. Hey, thank you, the Heidelberg Hybrid, for the follow. We get to have some bats coming across the screen, so thank you for that. You're here for, if you're just joining, you're here for some stitching in hand, which we don't usually do. I usually am on a hoop / a stand, so it sticks in focus and in the camera better. But today we are finishing up an old pattern from shortly after I first started cross-stitching and did not yet know how much extra cloth you had to cut around the pattern. And it has been an annoying thing that I have not wanted to finish because of that mistake, but by gum, we're finishing it today. Or at least working on it. We might not fully finish it. Who knows? Door. Yeah, you definitely clipped the loop start. I think I went in and clipped the back stitch last week. So I think that's on my channel, but thank you so much for clipping the loop start. That was a huge help. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Anytime folks want to clip anything from the live streams, that's super fun and also just like helpful. Give people a little teaser of something to see if they somehow, not sure how, stumble on my channel when I'm not live. Let's see. So I think I might do a little bit of Danish stitching, just for a few stitches, so that I can then reach over further than is advisable and go up to the other little triangle portion of this piece of candy. Oh, sorry, I keep getting out of frame. This is why we use the stand usually. Music-wise, by the way, just been doing Epidemic Sounds Halloween playlist. So just very very typical royalty-free Halloween playlist. Door, you are a professional clipper from the one time that you've clipped. Despite only doing it once, not spelling professional correctly, you are a professional. Alora, did you say there's no music? Have you heard music at any point? I just turned it up a little bit. Maybe it was down too low. But if you've not heard it at any point in time, I will be very sad, because I've been playing Halloween music this whole time. Okay, so we got that. Okay, you heard music when I was muted initially, but can't hear it now? Huh. Wait, I'm going to experiment with turning it up quite a bit, and then you all can let me know. experimenting. Okay, but that's like, that is substantially louder than me talking, right? I would think so. Alright, well, I'm gonna turn it back down. It's only slightly okay. So here's the interesting thing: is I'm using a different microphone today. This is like my podcast microphone, and that's part of why I had some problems with it at the start, because it's okay. That part of the music was loud. But I think that the levels, yeah, my pumpkin microphone, not my podcast microphone. I think that the levels that I can hear are actually more accurate now, somehow. But in previous weeks, there has been quite the disparity. So I've had to have the music down to like barely anything, and you all in chat would be like, no, it's too loud. So that's why I was like defaulting to that again. But apparently I can make it a little bit louder, except that song now ended, so that doesn't help our experiment. Okay, so I need to go up 4. No, up 5 and over 4, 6. I need to go up 5 and over 6. Okay, we can do this. I mean, we'll queue up the Dan and Phil Spooky Beats, Spooky Week, Dan and Phil Beats Spooky Week album in a little bit. That did occur to me, Tom, on this historic day. Oops, on this day of all days, I should be playing Dan and Phil Beats. But I had forgotten about this. Oh, it's actually called the Halloween Town playlist, which is a little bit more exciting. I had forgotten about this Epidemic Sound playlist, and I was excited to try it. Maybe, and I could just restart it because you all missed most of it. That's so sad. All right, let's do some counting. Up 5 over 6. Can do this. Maybe I can do this. BRB gotta go watch Halloween Town. Heck yeah. I've been in the mood to watch Halloween Town recently. Maybe because it's Halloween, but no, I'm not always. That's not always the vibe for me. Okay, I'm gonna move this up a little bit, and maybe that will help me ergonomically. Whoa! Not if that happens. Wow, that was kind of funny. Okay, camera secure. Needle stuck to minder. And now we count. One, 2, 3, 4, 5. I lost it. That one. Okay. I should definitely double check this. I don't know if that's gonna happen. Yep, I think I might be one too close. Try to fix it by staring very closely at where it should go. Okay. Yeah, usually I wouldn't go this far over. I would just, like, restart. But these candies are gonna stitch on top of each other, and there's just so many little bits that I don't want to start and stop a million times, so... 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. Ah, I think we're close enough. Seems to be about right. Alright, second half of candy. Let's go. Let's do this. Do. Got another ad coming up in about a minute. We're just gonna keep working on this little bit of the candy. Dora's been watching the new Vampires SMP. It's gotten them in a really spooky mood. Vampires SMP is Minecraft YouTubers hosted by POW Creations. Yeah, I do not know about that one. But it sounds fun to have vampires, and anything getting folks in a spooky mood, I am here for. This music right now is pretty spooky. 1, 2, 3, 4. And 5. Oh. Dor, you'll have to explain to me, because I'm old and out of touch, what 715 POVs are. Okay. Does that still work? Let's see. Wake up, camera. There you go. Out of 14 players, you're watching 7 of them. Oh, okay. I thought 7 out of 14 was the name of a show. Got it. Okay, I think it is finally time for the pumpkin beverage of the day. Ah! And it's exploding. Where do you all think that the like iconography of skeletons with pumpkin heads came from? I'm really, really into it. But I'm also just like, how did this become a thing? And you don't see it too frequently. Some of the like 6 foot tall skeletons and stuff have pumpkin heads now. But I feel like there's, there's the anachronistic portrayal of the Headless Horseman with a pumpkin jack-o'-lantern for a head. And then you've got like Jack Pumpkinhead from The Wizard of Oz. But neither of them are skeletons. And so having like a skeleton like this with a pumpkin head, I don't know. I like it very, very much, but I just don't know where it originated from, or like, yeah. I'm curious if anyone has thoughts. Help me out. Tell me what cultural touchstone am I unaware of that led to this? Probably some kind of branch from scarecrows being skeletons, or skeletons being creepier. I guess that's kind of like what I'm trying to think of is, if we think about this being a real thing, like human skeletons and someone putting a jack-o'-lantern on top of it, like that's really creepy, and not fun at all. But why would a person or community have done that? But I guess fake skeletons could fulfill the same scarecrow thing, yeah. Same purpose. Tom says, could be as simple as let's take Halloween thing 1 and add Halloween thing 2, and bam, Super Halloween thing 3 is created. I mean, that's probably the real answer. Like, I'm searching for some deeper meaning, and that's probably all that it ever was. Which makes sense to me, because, I mean, my 2 favorite Halloween things are pumpkins and skeletons, I would say. Skeleton was my most repeated Halloween costume as a small child. It was like just the solid backup. It was the one I always wanted to be, but some years was like, no, I should be more creative instead of just being a skeleton again. And I've been on the hunt for many years now for like a adult's version of what my skeleton Halloween costume was as a kid, which was basically just like a black sweatshirt and black sweatpants with iron-on bones on them. But I want one that's not like iron-on. Like, I could make that, to go back to our hey, I could make it conversation. But there's enough like sweatshirts that are like skeletons out there that I've been trying to find one. I'm just a little picky of exactly what I want it to be, because I have this memory of what mine as a child was like, and I want it to be like that. So I have been on the hunt for many years for the skeleton sweatsuit of my dreams. Oh, well, Dora's wearing skeleton joggers right now. That's exciting. Where'd you get them? I know you live in England, so maybe not helpful, but hey, if they're at H&M or something, I could order that online. They also might not be exactly what I am looking for, since I said, I'm picky. I'm picky about what I want in my skeleton sweatsuit. Did anyone else have costumes as a child that they repeated several times, or wanted to repeat many times, like your absolute favorite one that you would have done many years in a row if you could have? Limical was a ninja probably 3 times. Wow. That's definitely a fun one. I feel like there were a lot of ninjas. Maybe still, but I think, like, yeah, in the early 90s, ninja felt like a pretty popular Halloween costume. 8. 8 times! Oh, wow. Yeah, no, that is a lot. I misread that totally. Not 3 times. You were a ninja 8 times. Okay, that's so many times. That's like an entire childhood of times. Were you ever anything besides a ninja? Lauren was Dorothy a good handful of times. That's a solid one. Very classic. I feel like I usually see at least one Dorothy from kids on Halloween. I think I see a lot more Dorothys at, like, adult Halloween parties. Actually, we were talking about this this morning of whether, like, how much of a big deal is Halloween for adults where people live. Because I spent the last 14 years in New York City, where it is arguably more a holiday for adults than it is for children. It is like a big deal, especially in like gay communities. There's the Village Parade, which, like, I think people just think of as the Halloween parade now, but very much has its origins in being like a gay pride thing. And I feel like other big cities like San Francisco or maybe Chicago, I think Toronto, that have like big Halloween parades, it's also like it's like a gay urban thing, it seems to be. And so I'm curious about, for people who don't live in some of those towns, cities, how big a deal is Halloween for adults? Like, do you know about events that happen where adults go and dress up in costumes? Because that is the norm in New York City, and I'm realizing perhaps not the norm elsewhere. Tom was a fairy multiple times and got into bopping people on the head with your wand. I mean, yeah, that tracks. Dora's only ever been a witch or a vampire. So about 8 times. Yeah, because 8 times is about how many times you would dress up as a child. So Limical, apparently, was a ninja for all of childhood. Okay, Dora lives in a university city, so it's common there. Okay, that makes sense. Like, in a university city. And in fact, I'm now remembering maybe the night before Halloween, or like the Friday or the Saturday of Halloween last year, I ended up in one of the college towns around here and was like, oh, yeah, okay, it is Halloween at the frat houses. So that makes sense. All right, university cities, cities with, like, gayborhoods seem to be the main ones, but I'm curious from other folks. Okay, we get to move on to another color now. Done. Gayborhood is a portmanteau of gay and neighborhood. So in a lot of cities, there's like one neighborhood that was historically where a lot of gay people lived and might still be where all of the like gay bars and gay community centers and just other like points of gay culture and activity all happen. In Chicago, no, Chicago is Boys Town. There's at least one American city where it's just referred to as the gayborhood. Maybe that's San Francisco, but I feel like San Francisco is just like the hate. But yeah, there are a lot of places where it might just occasionally be informally called the gayborhood. But there are also some cities where that is like what they actually call that neighborhood, in the same way like this neighborhood's the Lower East Side, this city is like this part of the city is Soho, this part of the city is the gayborhood. Except not New York. In New York, it's like the Village. Except Chelsea is, I don't know where all the affluent white cis gay men live these days. Okay, so Chicago is Boys Town. Yeah, Limical says yes as well. And then Andersonville is where is for lesbians in Chicago. Okay, in Doorstown, it's either Town Center or the park on the edge of town where all the gays gather. Yeah, and I do feel like where they gather has maybe changes, or at least maybe that doesn't change, but where everyone lives changes with gentrification and getting priced out in different eras. But like where all the bars are and stuff tends to be, that's the gayborhood. Okay, I was doing math a minute ago, because this says we're at 30. Yeah, so we're gonna move this up. Great. Sure. Okay, so now we're gonna do these little... I think we should do... Let's do the yellow circles. 972. I think 972, which I wrote upside down on this bobbin. I think this is one of the follower spool amounts. Like one of the colors for the follower spool. And I think I can do the whole piece of candy with one piece of floss. We're gonna find out. But from memory, that is it. Door, your most recent message is just one of the most British sentences I've ever heard. So you got so many Britishisms in one sentence there. I only half know what some of them mean. No, don't drop the needle. Okay. I've been toning it down. I mean, I'm not gonna say that with an accent, but yeah. Okay. Let's do the candy. Do this little piece of candy. All right. I'm gonna start right here with the loop start from the front. I like that that's become such a thing for folks on the stream. I'm glad I could tell people about it. It is not the superior method for everything you might be doing, but I feel like for most times it is the superior method. Try an accent. No. I've had years of having to like actually learn them long ago, which I think makes me get more in my head about it. Like I can't just like half do one for fun because I get self-conscious about it, so I will not. Oh, Alora got a kit that uses 3 strands, which means you can't do the loop start method. That is very unfortunate. I'm sorry for that. Sorry for you for that. I do try to avoid things that make me unable to use the loop start method. Like I did one pattern that was a lot of blended threads where you put like 2 different ones together. Somehow the thread just came out of my needle here. Gotta fix that. Yeah, you put like 2 different colors together to create the 2 strands, which is like, it's a decent effect, sure, but so annoying that you can't use the loop start for that. Wow, Dor, that is such a good point. There's like a million different British accents. They all sound so different. So you could just claim that you're doing a different one because almost any accent could sound British. That's like a thing that I'm aware of, but I've never heard it applied in that way to bad accents. So I appreciate that perspective. That's actually very amusing to me. Also, just wild how, for such a small place, you have so many different accents. I feel like in America, we have maybe like half a dozen kind of unique accents, and then everyone else is just kind of like in a pretty large bell curve of generic American. We've got like a handful of words that divide the Northeast and the Midwest. It's like That's kind of it. This is the real test of if I counted correctly earlier. We'll see if I'm able to make this candy the way that I am supposed to make it according to the pattern. And that will tell us, did I count correctly or not? At the moment, I'm starting to feel like I might not have. Dor, that makes a lot of sense. And actually, for as much as I just said that, like, Americans don't have as many distinct accents, I had a similar experience growing up. My parents were from the same place as each other, but not the same place that I grew up in. So I grew up in the South, but my parents were born and raised in the Midwest, specifically in Michigan, which even has a little bit of a different speaking style than the rest of the Midwest. And so there were a lot of things that I, like, pronounced slightly off when I was growing up. Or, like, I called soda pop until I was, like, 10. I totally did not count right. Okay. How do I want to fix it? It's just going to be slightly big. And slightly off from everything else. Okay. Oh, meow. Talking about the New Orleans accent. Yeah, I mean, especially, like, isn't Creole is its own thing? Or is that what am I thinking of the right thing? But, like, that would be extra confusing. But I feel like, except for some of those rare exceptions, like, often you have to talk to someone for a while before you find some of the, like, words that you pronounce differently, or, like, terms that you have that are different. Whereas oftentimes in the United Kingdom, you'll hear someone talk and be like, oh yeah, so you're from this exact neighborhood in this place. Like, you can tell right away. Like, they're so different. Wow, Tom, you got the crick and the warsh American accent. Yeah, that's a more distinct one. But again, like, you don't sometimes you don't quite hear those until you say those exact words, and, like, every other word that you say might sound just like everyone else wherever you are that you're speaking to people in America. All right. Adding some extra stitches to make it kind of work. Parents barely understand each other because their accents are so thick. Wow. That is impressive. This royalty-free Halloween music really does keep reminding me of Halloween Town, which then makes me think about the fact that, like, Disney Channel movies were, as much as we love some of them, like, things like their music were often just so, not necessarily bad, but, like listen, if the music in your movie sounds like royalty-free music when you're one of the wealthiest corporations in the world, I don't know. There's a certain vibe to that. But what it especially reminded me of was I watched that documentary recently that Demi Lovato like co-directed about child stars and like the abuse basically that famous child stars go through. And she interviewed Allison Stoner in it, and they talk about so many different things. Allison Stoner being like the dancer and actress who I mostly know her from being in Cheaper by the Dozen, but she's most famous for some of her dancing, I think in like a Missy Elliott video. But she was also in the Disney Channel original movie series of movies, Camp Rock, which I think is the Jonas Brothers one. It's what Demi Lovato was in. This documentary is kind of like mostly about Demi Lovato. But so they're talking about this like Disney Channel original movie that they were both in, and I've never seen it. And they both sort of start recounting this really embarrassing moment for Allison, which is that her character was supposed to be this really talented DJ. And as often happens when you're filming, they did this whole scene where she's supposed to be doing like stuff on the keys and like with the records and like the soundboard and stuff, and everyone's watching and they're so impressed. But when they were filming it, she didn't know what the music was ultimately going to be, because a lot of times they'll just like, they put that in post and the actors don't really know what it's going to be. One of my favorite examples of this is in the Michael J. Fox version of Teen Wolf, which is the original Teen Wolf movie. And the like big final prom number scene, very clearly they thought they were going to get the rights to Thriller because all of the students are dancing like the Thriller dance pretty much. And then it's just this like cheap royalty-free music that's playing instead. It's really good. If you ever watch the Michael J. Fox version of Teen Wolf, I would say remember that, but like you'll notice it. It's very obvious and very funny. But anyway, so that is an example of like when they filmed it, they probably played Thriller on set and thought that they were gonna get to use Thriller, and then ultimately they didn't, and they had to edit in a different song. So the actors thought they were dancing to something else. So the same thing happens with Allison Stoner and Camp Rock. They're doing Chiller. It's completely legally. Is that it? I remember looking it up when I saw Teen Wolf and being like, I'm sorry, what? I can't. So Tom, I don't know if you're just like fully joking or if you actually know the movie lore there. Oh, that was a joke. Okay. It's literally something like that close. It's very funny. But so getting back to Camp Rock and Allison Stoner. So her character is supposed to be this like really impressive DJ. And she's talking about how that's what happened of she didn't know what the music was going to be, and then she saw the movie and it was just like this really like cringy, embarrassing, like royalty-free or royalty-free-esque music that they piped in. And because I hadn't seen the movie, I thought she was just exaggerating and she was embarrassed. And then they played a clip and it was so bad. It was one of the worst things I've ever heard. It doesn't even sound like something that someone could like really mix live on a soundboard. It didn't match any of the movements she was making. Like, it was so bad. And I was like, wow, I really do understand how you, being like a teenager when these were filmed, would just be absolutely mortified and like want to quit everything if that's what the scene that you had to be in your like big moment in this movie. I forgot. Oh, I was just talking about bad royalty-free music. Yeah, I don't know. So that's my new perception of Disney Channel original movies and their bad music choices, or their being absolutely cheap with their music choices, perhaps. That might also be part of it. And I'm also just like really making things up with this pattern at this point to try to get the candy to fit here. Tom, you remember the scene from Camp Rock or from Teen Wolf? Oh, and going back, Door, no one understands you because your dad is from the South and your mom's from the North. Yeah, I get that a little bit. The DJ scene in Camp Rock. I mean, I haven't seen the rest of Camp Rock. At least the way they told it, that was the cringiest moment. And that maybe the rest of it was quite good. I feel like that happened for a lot of Disney Channel original movies. Like, we've got a lot of nostalgia for them because there were a lot of, like, really good, fun, or earnest moments, but there were also just some real stinker of moments, either from the writing or the music or occasionally the performances. But I would say usually they were some pretty talented young actors, as was evidenced by a lot of them who went on to do more serious work later. But I do want to go rewatch Halloween Town this year. Maybe the sequels. How many Halloween Towns are there? I only saw this scene from Camp Rock because I was watching a documentary about abusing child actors, so it's not even... This was the one funny moment of that documentary. The rest of it's pretty dark. This was the funny moment. But why would I have seen Camp Rock? I was a little... I had aged out of Disney Channel, I think, by the time that was happening. Now I'm even... Was it Disney Channel? Was it Nickelodeon? Were Jonas Brothers Nickelodeon? Wow, I'm second-guessing everything I know now. I made this whole point about Disney Channel original movies. No, it was Disney. Okay, cool. It was Disney. Great. Okay, did this playlist end? This playlist that all of you can barely hear? I'm gonna start it again for a little bit. Yeah, there we go. The playlist heard me insulting royalty-free music and left in a huff. Yeah. I will say Epidemic Sound does actually tend to be much better quality music. But this Halloween one is a little bit more hokey, as can happen with Halloween. I was about to say we're getting so close to being done with this candy, but that is not true because I still have to fill in the edges of the wrapper. I also have to decide how I want to fix this. On this side, I'll make it kind of symmetrical, maybe. Ooh. Have I not seen the scene where they edited out the music so the kids are just clapping and yelling Camp Rock? Oh, man. Wait, so did someone else edit it out, or are you saying that's like the movie edited out the music? Either way, that's very funny, but it's, to my point. It is to my point, if you mean they edited out for the movie. It's gonna be a little bit of a misshapen candy. It's maybe the candy that's left at the very bottom of your Halloween bag for like a month after trick-or-treating when you're trying to work your way through all of the candy that you ate. Or all of the candy that you collected. Is collected the right word for trick-or-treating? I don't know. Okay, definitely could have done this better. But this is where we're at. when I've been doing the Sleepy Hollow pattern, which I just realized I need to change the stream name because the stream still says we're doing Sleepy Hollow and we're not. Whoops. But when I've been doing that, some people have commented on like the back of the pattern being so neat and tidy, and I would just like to present to the jury my much less neat back of the pattern here. I don't know, like it got very sloppy in the years that I've been working on this one. It actually looks a lot neater on camera, so maybe I'm not making my point super well, but in person it's very sloppy. Okay, so we now need to move on. Hey, welcome to the chat, Sky Jim Speaks. It is a very cute pattern. I'm trying to finish it up. It's one of the first patterns I ever started, and I just sort of like have set it aside a lot, and am coming back to it now. And I do not usually stitch without a hoop, and in fact, I do not like it very much. It was an 11th hour decision, not even an 11th hour decision. It was a during the stream decision. We got rid of the hoop because I did not leave myself enough cloth on this side to be able to finish these little candy borders without a hoop. So this is what we're doing now. So I am also impressed with people who regularly stitch without a hoop because I don't like it. But welcome to the chat. Are you a cross stitcher yourself? Are you working on a project right now? We've got folks in the chat working on different projects, which also, by the way, good time for a check-in. Where are people at with their projects? Oh, that's so cool, Sky. You also just picked up your first project that's been in purgatory for the past few years. And Tom finished the O in Nope, which means you're like 50% of the way there of what you wanted to do today, so that's pretty rad. I don't know if you wanted to do all of the word Nope today. And the pizza now has mushrooms on Limical's Pizza and Donuts. Is it gonna have other toppings? Like, did you just start with mushrooms, or are mushrooms the extent of the toppings? Doing pepperoni now. Okay, nice. I had pepperoni pizza right before the live stream, and I picked off the mushrooms that it had on it. Cross-stitching is so much about high aspirations turning into realistic ones. Okay, Door's 2/3 of the way through the skeleton. No, or 2/3 of the way through the cat, but no skeleton or moon yet. I am not gonna lie, Door, I really thought that yours was a, like, cat skeleton. I think I misunderstood. So it is a cat and a skeleton with a moon. Lauren's about 2/3 of the way done with the collar of the sweater vest. Nicely done. Whoa, 200 to 300 more stitches on a full coverage piece by Sky Gem Speaks. Oh man. I mean, that is the home stretch for a full coverage piece, but that is still a lot. My app says that I have about 300 stitches left on this piece, but that can't be true because we've done about 50 to get most of this candy, and then there's only 2 more candies. So I feel like I should only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10. Okay, it's about 60 stitches per candy. So I should only have like 130 stitches left. I imported this pattern to this app a long time after I started it, because I was just using like paper patterns for a while, and this started on a paper pattern. So I think probably I just didn't accurately say how much I finished on this app. And so the app thinks that I have more to finish than I do. But yeah, I think we're at sub 120 probably. Now we need to do the little M's, upside down uwoos, if you will. Oh, okay, it is a cat skeleton. Just working on the shadow bit. I understand now. Okay. M is going to be 3826. It's a little more round, I think. This one. 3826. That's what we're gonna do. Ooh, I have the tiniest bit of floss left on there. I don't think that's gonna be quite enough. I actually maybe could do... I might get 6 stitches out of this. I could do one part of it. Be a little bit annoying. A little less annoying without a hoop, actually. Alright, let's try to do this. Tom, yes, I almost tricked you there. You thought there were no uwoos, and yet here they are in their mirror form. If the mirror were on the ceiling, because it's upside down. Whatever. In the upside down. There you go. That's more Halloween-y. Stranger Things. We're in the upside down. Okay. So I said when I think Gabe was asking earlier, like, do I display my finished pieces? And I think I mentioned that I've thought about turning this into some kind of wall hanging. And I think that would be cool, but I haven't really thought about, like, how to do that. So if anyone has thoughts on, like, should I get some kind of fabric to be almost a border around this? Or, like, yeah, I don't even know. I like the idea of kind of adding something to it. So it's not framed, but it's more like it's hung in some way. Maybe like put a rod at the top and then string a ribbon and then you hang it from that. But yeah, I don't know. I haven't made that kind of item really before. So I'm not sure. Limical, you finished the Stranger Things watch yesterday? Like all of it? I mean, good timing because the new one's coming out at Thanksgiving, but wow, I was gonna just check in on your thoughts on season 2. You finished the whole thing without spoilers for folks in the chat. Like, what did you think about Stranger Things? This was her first time watching Stranger Things, which is one of my top favorite TV shows. I need to finish my rewatch before Thanksgiving. I did a bit of a summer rewatch, but I kind of stopped at season 4, which I have only ever watched like once all the way through. So I feel like I really need to watch that all the way through before season 5 comes out. My assessment was correct. I don't remember what my assessment was. I could use printed ribbon as a border so the Ada doesn't separate and then hang it up. I think I like that. Yeah. Yeah, I was thinking of like a printed fabric, but ribbon might be a little bit easier. Yeah. Oh, I was surprised that you were interested in watching it. And it was indeed a lot for you to handle as time went on. Okay, yeah. It gets more intense. I think it gets more violent as the seasons go on. Yeah, it's a lot. And it's emotionally intense, too. That's part of actually why I didn't finish watching season 4 on this most recent rewatch, because I just sort of remembered a lot of the emotions involved, and I was like, I don't know if that's actually, like, the place that I want to be in right now for a fun end-of-the-day viewing experience. Like, it works when Stranger Things has, as they did for season 4, like, made it into a moment where you, like, set aside a Saturday night with your friends, and it's like you're watching a movie. But for a more, like, just casual rewatching, it's a lot to handle. And also kind of gross. Yes. And as Tom says, yes, strange to go back to season 1, see how baby all the actors are. They really are. Like, even, like, I feel like you could watch the recent ones and go back to season 2 and be like, yeah, this makes sense. Like, they were, like, middle schoolers. But you go back to season 1, and I mean, they are tiny. I think the kid who plays Will was literally 10 years old when they were shooting. They're very baby. And then they all grew up before our eyes. You felt like it was a bait and switch from the first season. Okay, I'll have to think about that more. Because I don't fully remember where we got to by the end of season 4 to know what you might be kind of referring to there. But I love that a few other folks like Stranger Things as well. Because I really enjoy it. And season 2, so such an autumnal and slightly Halloween-y season. So I like watching that one. On the topic of how much they've all grown, I was jump scared when I found out the 11 actresses recently adopted a baby. Millie Bobby Brown and her husband recently adopted a baby. I do have to say, like, I think she's still pretty young. Like, I feel she's on the younger end, especially for adoption, let alone just, like, parenting in general. But she is certainly grown enough to do that. Like, that is inarguable. Okay. So we successfully did one side of the wrapper. Now we have to start a whole new piece of floss. Oh, maybe not. I had another tiny piece. Let's see if we can use that. She's only 21. Wow, yeah. Yeah, see, that's, I mean, like, of perfect legal age to be a parent, and still a bit younger than most people these days, especially, again, for adoption, because that just takes longer to do. Okay, season 1 felt more like, hey, fun kids adventure. Absolutely. Although one of the strengths of Stranger Things, in my opinion, and this is more of a strength for earlier seasons, is I feel like you get a different TV show with each age group. You get, like, the, hey, fun kids adventure, kind of like Goonies feeling, and then you get the high schoolers, which is very much like a John Hughes kind of movie. And then you get the adults, which is just a little bit more your classic drama adults experience. And so I think that's one of the things that made season 1 so good, is their ability to successfully do each of those stories and, like, different types of movies in one, and, like, thread them all together. And I think just, like, as the young kids age and the stories blend together, it works if you are a fan of all of those characters, and it's kind of fun to see them in different configurations, but you do lose a little bit of that, like, 3 genres of story in one element. Dor didn't like Stranger Things, but did like other things the cast has been in. What other things do you like that they've been in? I feel like Enola Holmes, Millie Bobby Brown did that. Finn Wolfhard's been in a handful of things. And then I feel like Lucas and... oh, that's the character's name. Lucas and the other one who's... I can't even remember character or actor's name. But 2 of the other main boys have done a lot of Broadway, both before and after Stranger Things, which I think is super cool. And yeah, 21 is not that young. But I do think it is below average, and I think it is young to be adopting, if anything, because adoption, you often have to, like, prove economic security and stuff like that, which, as a famous person, she has. But a lot of people don't have that yet in their early 20s. So even though in the grand scheme of things it is not young, it is still a little bit below the average for adoption. Gonna see if this floss will last. I don't think I'm using it as economically as I should to make it last for this whole little bit of the candy. Oh, of course, yeah, Winona Ryder. And I'm also forgetting the actor's name who plays Hop, but I like him a lot. He did some Santa movie, and I don't think I ever ended up seeing it, like a violent Santa movie, but I really wanted to. Gaten Mazzarato? Yes. Yes, he's definitely done a good amount of Broadway. He had some big role on Broadway around the time season 4 of Stranger Things was coming out, I believe. Can't remember what it was, but he's super talented. But yeah, Winona Ryder. I mean, she's iconic. I love Winona Ryder. Okay, almost there. This little piece of floss. Give me one more half stitch, and then let me finish you. And we will have done it together, buddy. We got it. Ugh. Okay. Ooh. That didn't fully go through. But... oh, no, there it is. I do need to deal with that somehow. Got a loose stitch. And just trying to fix it if I can. Ah, okay. I gotta send it behind again. First gotta thread the needle. Oof, okay. Not quite working. All-time favorite actor, actress, Julie Andrews is a phenomenal choice, Door. I feel like she's often been up there for me as a top fave. Especially like an all-time fave. Because I think sometimes when I think about favorites, I have like a recency bias. And I mean, I've loved so many things that she has done since I was a small child. So yeah, Julie Andrews definitely could be up there. Who else? What other actors and actresses do I like? Really, really like? Where like I would see anything that they do. Or at least I claim that because I'm actually very bad at truly watching things. I do really like Paul Rudd. Been rewatching Stranger Things, Parks and Rec, and his Parks and Rec character is very funny. I also think Paul Rudd is like the fact that he doesn't seem to age. I find relatable as someone who looks much younger than I am, and historically looked even younger than I am, or was. But Paul Rudd cracks me up, especially because he was in the original cast of Wet Hot American Summer, about like the camp counselors, and Netflix did a reboot of it a few years ago, because, you know, all the reboots are happening, or like, you know, just doing a kind of like a reunion, whatever. And because Wet Hot American Summer is such like a comedy, they decided what would be really funny is instead of doing a like 20 years later, they did a prequel, which was really just the start of the summer. So they didn't go back 20 years, but they made it a like Wet Hot American Summer takes place at like the end of the summer camp, and so they decided we're gonna do a prequel at the beginning of the summer, which is just a funny concept when you have a cast of like an ensemble cast of actors and actresses who have all visibly aged 20 years, and you're like, we're gonna do a show, like a movie that takes place 3 months earlier than the original. And what was hilarious to me was that everyone looked visibly 20 years older, except for Paul Rudd, who looked exactly the same as he did in the original movie. It's like, what? It was very strange. So that's one of my favorite Paul Rudd things. I don't think he's my all-time favorite actor. Like, I don't think I could put him above Julie Andrews, but I do like him a lot. Sky loves Robin Williams. Same. I think he was up there with Julie Andrews in terms of like childhood influences for me. Also, yeah, early 90s was a big time for Robin Williams. Him and like Tom Hanks just kind of ruling home video. Dora also loves Meryl Streep. Excellent choice. Love Meryl Streep. Pedro Pascal up there. Very good choice. I feel like I have not watched enough things that he's in, even though he seems to be in so many things right now. But everything that I hear about him, like, as a person and, like, little clips of him that surface, I'm just like, wow, he's amazing. I really, really like him. Lucille Ball is a very good classic choice. Who was I just thinking of? I was just thinking of David Tennant a minute ago. Yes. David Tennant is so talented, but also has become such an amazing ally, and is just a lot of fun, and like has been in so many different franchises that I like, and then done a bunch of other stuff that he's very talented at. Yeah, David Tennant, very high up there. Alex Kingstone, I don't know by name. I'm gonna Google Alex Kingstone. It sounds a little bit familiar. Oh, or Alex Kingston? Like River Song? If so, yes, totally. Great choice. Yeah, River Song. Okay, awesome. She's great. I've seen her in one or two other things that I can't really think of right now, but I remember being like, "Oh, good. I like to know that she's also a great actress in other things, and not just the one thing," which is also how I feel about David Tennant. I think there's a lot of like Saturday Night Live actors and actresses that I really like grew up on, and I like some of the other, like, Amy Poehler, Tina Fey, of course. But even like Kenan Thompson, I don't follow anything like about his personal life or anything like that, but I was someone who grew up watching All That on Nickelodeon, and it just felt like that was Saturday Night Live for children, and that every kid who was on All That was clearly gonna grow up to be on Saturday Night Live. And then that just like kind of didn't happen. A lot of them sort of just like fell out of the limelight and like weren't getting work as they got older. And then when Kenan got on SNL, it was just like, that felt like such a huge win for 90s kids. It was really cool. And now he has been on SNL longer than anyone else who's ever been on it. And it's just like, I don't know, I continue to be just so happy for him, but also he is so funny. So I honestly, I might put Kenan up there. Oh, she's in the second Gilmore Girls, like the movie. Cause like, yeah, I was like, I've totally seen her in something. Maybe, and okay, that's cool. You made the oldest needs to watch All That yesterday. How does it hold up? I feel like there's individual clips that I've watched currently, like Good Burger or Vital Information, but I would be curious how that holds up in 2025 and how a Gen Alpha kid like receives it. She was not amused. I'm kind of not surprised. Day in the life thing. Okay, yeah, the Gilmore Girls, like, Netflix, like, yeah, it was almost like 4 movies. I guess it was a mini-series. We're really just, like, streaming services are really playing with the definition of movies and TV and specials these days. Like, there's just no more rules when it's on streaming. Like, here's an episode of a TV show that's 2 hours long, and next episode's gonna be 45 minutes. Nah. Rewatching all that as an adult, not so much, but good for them. I mean, yeah, basically. I do wonder, like, how much of it was the humor of the time and how much of it was our age, because I remember even, like, kind of the second generation of the All That cast that happened maybe when I was, like, in middle school or so, and I was just like, they're not as funny. This show isn't as good. And, like, was it? Or did I just grow up a little bit? Yeah, Stranger Things is a huge culprit of different episode lengths, where you can go into one and it's like 40 minutes long and go into another and it's 2 hours. Though, to be fair, like, for season 4, they, when the publicity around it was happening, that was more, they made that well known in the publicity of it. And I am pretty sure season 5 is going to be the same thing, where they've just, like, hijacked every American Christian holiday of, I think, an episode's coming out like the day before Thanksgiving, and then one is on Christmas, and then one is on New Year's Eve, and they're all going to be like 2 hours long, and they're just like, this is what you're doing for your holidays now, for people who really care about watching right away, which I do, but maybe not enough to distract from the holidays and family time. I'm actually very annoyed because I would like to set aside time to watch Stranger Things as soon as it drops, and I am not going to now, and I do wonder how much that is going to backfire for them. I don't know. I'm, yeah, really unsure about that for their strategy. But yeah, Stranger Things as the Netflix darling, and Netflix largely, I think, is the worst at just very inconsistent episode times. Which, on the one hand, like, I kind of like, because I'm like, yeah, you don't have to have any specific time because you're not, like, on network or cable with commercials and stuff. But then on the other hand, it's like, well, then at that point, what are we doing? Like, what is anything? Where is structure? I think structure can help with creativity and can help set expectations with the audience. Like, I don't remember if I've said this on stream before, but I actually think commercials are really helpful for football. That might be the last thing that people who are not subscribers just heard, because I think an ad just started. So I might defend that better. But, okay, let me look back at what some folks who are still here have been saying in chat. Door doesn't typically stream TV. We watch a lot of anime on YouTube. That seems about right for what a lot of people do these days, but also, if I remember correctly, you are in university, I think, Door, and yeah, I think the younger you are, the less likely you are to watch typical television, so that tracks. You missed 3 seasons of it because of their scheduling weirdness. Door watched Wednesday, missed season 2, episode 3 release, and within an hour of dropping, Tumblr was full of spoilers. Yes! Yeah, well, that's why I had to watch the Dan and Phil video before this live stream, because I was like, I know some Dan and Phil people are on this live stream, and also, like, I'm not going to be able to open social media until I watch this whole video. But also, yes, like, that is part of why I'd like to watch Stranger Things when it drops. Wednesday, I didn't realize was going week to week, because I was just talking about needing to watch season 2. I have not watched season 1, so I need to watch season 2. Or I need to, so, like, no spoilers for the season finale of season 1, which is what I've missed. But season 2, I just assumed dropped all at once. That's another thing that, like, there's no more rules. We just dropping everything in one batch instead of week to week. Because also, like, yeah, why not? But that goes into what I was saying before the ad break, which was so well timed. But I was like, commercials. I am supportive of commercials in football. because I have watched it on DVR where I fast forward all the commercials, and it's like too much. You like need a breather. You need that built-in kind of break for like your brain, or to go to the bathroom or to get snacks or whatever. I don't feel this way about all television, but I think like sporting events, maybe just because I'm so used to there being those breaks for the commercials. I'm not sure what it is, but I'm pro commercial for football. All Creatures Great and Small and Strictly Come Dancing are excellent choices for TV. I just started watching Dancing with the Stars this season, which is the American version of Strictly Come Dancing, and it's great. It's also fun to see Bruno Tombioli because I know him from Britain's Got Talent. I do think that like game shows and a lot of reality TV and sports are going to be what saves network television in the great streaming wars. Maybe less, maybe not even reality TV. I think streaming services are doing that very well with like Secret Wives of Mormon Wives is Hulu. And I think a lot of the like are the Ultimatum shows are also on streaming. Yeah, streaming networks are taking reality TV. But game shows, except for like Dropout, game shows are still mostly actual TV. Meow says, I really miss seasons being longer than 8 or 10 episodes and them not constantly ending with the worst cliffhangers only to find out the show's been canceled. Yes! See, this is the actual issue that I have with streaming services, is how many have been bought out by like CEOs and larger companies who have absolutely no passion for or knowledge of arts and entertainment. Like, listen, in the golden days of Hollywood, did the people that own these companies, like, were they absolutely like greedy, awful people? Yes. But did they also believe in like the magic of filmmaking? Yes. And so like when it came down to it, they still made decisions that like were ultimately for like the art that was happening, and that is not what is going on with a lot of the streaming platforms, and also some of like network TV in America, at least these days. Like, it's just gotten really, really bad, and the like canceling shows without giving them a chance to like breathe and find their legs or even just resolve a cliffhanger, that's a big side effect of that. We're also the even more egregious one for people who work in film and TV, not as much for the audiences, annoying for the audiences, but taking like their original series off of their platforms after a couple of years after they've ended so that they don't have to pay royalties to the actors and the creative teams. Like, that is heinous and just angers me so much because like that is just not that's not how it's ever worked. And I know, again, we're like rewriting the playbook here, but that is not how it should be rewritten. And that's a big part of what like all the strikes were about, and you know why the unions are working on trying to fix this, because that is just so not cool. And yeah, to have seasons only being 8 or 10 episodes and canceled really quick, that's like what the writer's strike was about. Like, writers are like, you used to be able to book a show, and even if it only got one season, at least you had an entire like calendar year's worth of work. Now when it's only 8 or 10 shows, you have to be trying to get on another show immediately after, or like while you're working on it. There's just none of these guarantees. There's like fewer guarantees that a show is going to stay on for long. It's all really, really bad. Sorry, I'm getting on a soapbox here, and it's probably all I'm probably preaching to the choir, but it really frustrates me that this is the direction things are going. And a lot of it is because like a lot of the people who are coming into power in these companies don't have a background in film and TV or theater or what have you. So like the passion isn't there, the understanding of how it all works isn't there, and they don't care. They just want to make more money. And it's so frustrating. Okay, Skyjim speaks, not a fan of binge culture. All the episodes dropping at once encourages people to sit down and watch it all at once so they don't get spoiled. And that way you miss out on a lot of theorizing and analysis that was so much of what fandom was built on. And now fandoms tend to die out a lot faster than they used to. That is so true. I've totally thought about that before, but it hasn't been top of mind in a while, so thanks for reminding me. Yeah, I mean, not to, I mean, I am. I'm going to bring up Harry Potter just briefly to say that, like, the Harry Potter fandom was one of the first major online fandoms. And a lot of how that happened was, like, we were waiting in between books, and especially before movies came out, where you were just, like, theorizing what was going to happen. And that's, like, where so much of the fan fiction came from. And a lot of the, like, online ecosystem for all the fandoms that are here now was, like, from that. It was, like, built up from the Harry Potter fan community, unfortunately, for all it is now. Let's burn that to the ground and rise up all of the better art with better creators now. But yeah, just anything. Like, when it's week to week, you have so much more to theorize. I'm even just thinking of, like, I was active in the Glee fandom, and that was a week to week show, and then you would have the breaks for the seasons, and hiatus, like, over the winter holidays was always when, like, the wackiest fan fiction would happen, because it's like, oh no, we've been a whole month without a new episode and people are getting real weird in their fan fiction now. That's so fun. And you're right, we don't get that as much because everything drops in one day, and you've got, like, maybe a week of enthusiasm, and then people start to move on. Some people, not everyone, but yeah. But yeah, giving stories, shows and stories a chance to grow is huge. Like I was just saying, I was rewatching Parks and Rec, and so many people will tell you your first time watching Parks and Rec to skip season 1. It's like, it's notoriously bad enough that the advice is to skip season 1. If that show had gotten canceled because season 1 wasn't good enough, like, we wouldn't have the amazing show that Parks and Rec became. Like, you gotta give them that opportunity to find their footing. It's such a bummer. Okay, but anyways, I clearly am not really stitching anymore. My eyes and hands got a little bit tired, so I figured I was gonna wrap up, and then I got on a soapbox about TV. So I am gonna wrap up in a few minutes, but before I do, I just want to do one more check-in on how all your projects are going. So everything, status update on what folks were working on. We got a cat skeleton, a pizza donut, a nope cat, a sweater vest. Sky Jim Speaks, you were finishing up your full coverage project. Okay, pizza has pepperoni. I love it. It's got pepperoni and mushrooms. So you all did so much more than I did tonight because I was really kind of struggling in hand. Although I think I have 20 more stitches to add here. There you go. All right. Tom's about a third of the way through the P in Nope. Foxco forgot again. Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't put out any kind of promotion today, but I am about to sign off. You can watch the VOD back. Sky's working on a kit called Colorful Sky with about 150 stitches left. Excuse me. That is about how many I have left in this project that I'm just simply not finishing tonight because I am so tired. I had a long weekend. Lauren's on a commute home and not working on the sweater vest anymore. Very sad. Cat has the front half of its torso, and you're working on the butt. Doing the butt. Butt is legs. Wow, you all made so much more progress than I did. Very well done. Well, I'm gonna sign off a little bit early and without too much cross-stitching progress, but it was very fun to be with you all here tonight, working on our little Halloween projects, or at least some of us. Mine is, a few of yours are. You also did not have to entertain an entire stream while you're working on your projects. True enough, but a lot of you were very active in chat, and I personally would find that challenging while crafting. So there is that. Foxco got the first pair of men's jeans. Love that gender euphoria for you. I'm trying to remember. I feel like my first pair was probably from like H&M or something, but I quickly discovered that Levi's 511, which is sort of like a slim fit with a kind of straight leg, was very, very good for me for the gender euphoria, in case that is helpful at all. But congratulations. I'm glad you had such a momentous day. Limical said it's a haunted pizza slice. Yeah, just call anything haunted in this Halloweeny. Oh, Door uses speech to text while working. That's very smart. Very smart. All right. Well, I am very happy for us to end on Foxco's exciting day, and for everyone else getting to a good place of progress. I'm like, oh, I don't quite want to sign off, but I know that I'm tired and I need to rest a little bit. So I'm going to do that, but I will be back again next Monday. Maybe finishing this. I feel like I need to finish this not on stream because it's just frustrating to me. So we might do Sleepy Hollow. Maybe I'll come up with another fun Halloween thing or just some other... We'll see what more Halloween-y stuff I can do. Or maybe just finally making subscriber badges or some of the other many things on my Twitch to-do list. We'll see what happens the next week. But I hope you all have a fantastic week. Thank you all for being here with me tonight. And yeah, have a good rest of your night. Have a good rest of the week. And happy crafting, everyone. Goodbye. Have a good night.